Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of The Vampire Diaries. And of course, Damon has fallen off the wagon. He has gotten rid of his humanity now that Elena has broken up with him. But obviously, he doesn't know that Elena is actually Catherine. And he's doing a lot of bromancing with his buddy Enzo. So, his plan in this episode is to find Dr. West and basically kill him. Yeah, he's out for revenge, and he's gonna do whatever he can to do it, and he doesn't care who he pisses off, and that includes Bonnie and Jeremy. So as we know that Bonnie is now the anchor, and so she's no longer a witch, and Jeremy, I guess when he died and he was brought back, he is no longer a hunter, so he really is just like a human, powerless pretty much. So in this episode, of course, Damon goes up and threatens Bonnie with Jeremy's life and tells her she has to produce a witch that will do a locator spell so that we can find Dr. West. And of course, Bonnie's like, no, she doesn't want to do it. But then once he threatens Jeremy, of course, everybody has to do as Damon wishes. So we spend most of the episode with Damon trying to track down Dr. West. And Dr. West has been busy trying to basically make another vampire and condition that vampire to kill other vampires. So he had some guy handcuffed to, I guess, a place in the lab, and because they were going to do exactly what his plan was all along, which is to teach vampires how to kill other vampires. Now, of course, we find him. Well, of course, Bonnie finds a witch, which is in one of her classes. Now, Bonnie, of course, we never really get to see unless it's something relating to helping Damon, helping Elena. It's never really about Bonnie and Jeremy's relationship. It's usually about helping other people. So earlier on in the episode, we saw that she noticed a girl in her class that was like spinning a pen with her hand. So she put two and two together that she was a witch. So of course, when Damon's like, I need a witch, that's who she goes to. And this girl's not really a good witch. She's just like, she doesn't really know how to control her powers. So Bonnie pretty much spends the episode trying to train her and show her how to do the locator spell and how to control her magic and everything. And I think she even says at the end that she'll help her in the future to try to control herself. So they do find Dr. West, and Enzo and Damon get there. There are a bunch of these travelers who are doing this chant, and they do some like mind jibby thing to their brains, and then they fall to the ground, and then of course Wes comes up behind them and stabs Damon in the neck with something. So of course, we're thinking it's probably vervain or something that will weaken him, but that's not quite what the reveal is, and I will get to that after. So some other stuff that happened in Enzo in this episode was because he was basically doing Damon's dirty work. He grabbed Jeremy, he was doing all this crazy stuff. He was digging a grave, and Stefan went to him and was like, you need to go. You need to get out of town because you're doing nothing but helping my brother down this path of destruction, and I just don't want it. So they have their little banter back and forth, and they have a little duel and fight. And at one point, Stefan has the shovel pointed at his chest like he's going to stab him with it, and he basically just takes the shovel and stabs himself and is like, listen, you can't do anything to me that hasn't already been done to me over the years, so bring it. If you want to kill me, try, because let's go. So they have a little bit of a fight, a scuffle. Then Stefan ultimately puts the shovel to his neck, and he basically says, I better not see you again ever, or else it's going to be bad news. So obviously these two don't like each other, and that's fine. So later on in the episode, when they see each other again, of course, because this is when Elena shows up with Stefan where Jeremy's been hiding, where they've been holding Jeremy, and they get into another fight. Damon shows up. They find out where he is. Boom. That's how they go and they find Dr. West. Do I care about Enzo? Not really, because they haven't really done a lot to build up something that makes me really care too much about the character. But he is the one who is now really pushing Damon to go on the side of evil. And that's fine, because let's face it, Damon is always so much better when he is just evil and not trying to pretend like he's not, or that somebody else is helping him not become evil. So I'm fine with the way that this storyline is playing out. Whatever. And of course, we had Catherine, who is continuing to play the part of Elena. And she's spending a lot of her time getting her daughter Nadia to compel Matt so that he will tell Nadia all these tidbits about Elena's life. So, of course, she finds out what Bonnie's middle name is through Matt. She finds out other juicy tidbits because, she has to play off the fact that she's Elena and she can't just do it on her own. There's just no way. So Nadia spends a lot of time hanging out with Matt and compelling him. He obviously doesn't realize he's being compelled because he thought he was wearing a vervain bracelet, which she clearly took off, and probably compelled him to not think that he lost it. And so, some interesting interactions between them. And you could tell that Nadia kind of likes Matt. So I think she kind of feels a little bit bad, but at the end of the day, she's doing this for her mom, and that is the ultimate goal here. And Tyler shows up, and Tyler's all like, so, what's going on? And, he gets introduced to Nadia for the first time, finds out that it's Catherine's daughter. And, but he quickly realizes that something's up because he leaves to go, they're all having like this little drunken moment because they're all taking shots about whose mom did what and whose mom might have been worse than the other. Of course, Catherine's mom is obviously the worst. So they're all toasting and getting toasty off of these shots. And then Tyler's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So when he leaves, he overhears Nadia compelling Matt. So he goes to Matt and is like, look, what's up with Nadia? Because she's compelling you. And he's like, no, that's not true because look, I got my vervain bracelet and it's like, it's not there. So quickly, Tyler realizes that something's up. And so then when Matt tries to act as if he is compelled, Nadia catches on. She snaps Tyler's neck and then, of course, compels Matt to continue up with his lie that, oh, yeah, this happened and that happened. And it was just like a really lame excuse as to why she wanted to know all this information about Elena. So Matt, thankfully, isn't an idiot. And he basically says to Nadia, I get what's going on here because your boyfriend jumped into my brain when you first got here. So I know that was your plan to do to your mom. So let me put two and two together that Catherine has done that to Elena. Now, here is the thing that annoys me about this whole Catherine's dead storyline. Isn't Bonnie the anchor? Shouldn't she have realized that Catherine never passed through her when they said that she died 2 episodes ago? So I feel like that is just such a hole in this writing of this story. It's ridiculous because they didn't even have any kind of explanation as to why she didn't travel through her. They didn't make it clear in any way that is something that happened or didn't happen. But that is a big red flag there that she didn't actually pass through, so she's not dead. So, Matt even says, like, I know that this is probably one of the plans that you and your mother has been concocting. And then she threatens him and is like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with you now because obviously he knows what's really going on there. And Catherine spends this episode, really playing up the fact that, of course, she wants Stefan. And in the beginning of the episode, she's writing in the diary and she's all like, oh, I love Elena's life and blah, 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 blah. So she's like talking in the third person, which is obviously, if anybody reads this diary somehow, it's like, why would Elena be writing in the third person about I love my life? You know what I mean? So it's obviously, there's one clue right there that if anybody stumbles across this diary, they'll be able to read it and figure that out. But she is playing up the fact that she's Elena, and that she's kind of playing up the whole Stefan, come be here with me, come go to this party with me, like pretty heavy, which is weird because she just broke up with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend is Damon, and Damon is Stefan's brother. So, obviously these scenes playing out feel a little bit forced, but whatever. And then, of course, Caroline is catching on, and guys, I'm sorry, but now that it's even been spoken on the show that Catherine/Elena is asking her mom, Nadia, for Nadia to ask Matt if Caroline likes Stefan. Has she ever liked him? Is something going on there? The fact that they've spoken about it and it's out there now, it's just like, really? And every scene that she could run into the two of them, Caroline did. And it's like, whether they're dancing and she's looking from a corner at the very end when they have that long conversation, and Stefan basically tells Catherine, Elena, that, he was waiting for his brother to screw up and, he never did. And then now he has, and he really just liked who Damon was when he was with Elena, blah, blah, blah. And they're having this big moment and they hug, and then Caroline walks through the door, and it's like this, this moment where it's like the triangle is right there, and I'm like, oh my God. And then they're playing this song in the background that's just like so obvious that it's about this, what's the song? I'm giving up on you or something like that. And it's just like, oh my God, beat me over the head with the fact that Caroline is the girl that's the obstacle in this relationship now. And I'm like, oh, whatever. So all of that stuff played out in this episode. We didn't even get to see Bonnie reconnect with Jeremy. She did all this stuff to save his life, and then they don't even have a scene with the two of them at least embracing that, okay, I'm fine, I'm good, you're good, we're good, okay, kiss, kiss, kiss. Nothing. I'm telling you, Bonnie needs to kick rocks off the show and maybe go over to the originals where they'll, like, embrace her, okay? This show just has no love for Bonnie. So then we get to the end scene where, of course, Damon wakes up from the needle to the back of the head, and he's talking to Enzo, and they hear this noise in the building that they're at, and Damon goes to take a look, and he sees the guy handcuffed to, the ceiling or whatever, and it's the guy that Dr. West had been experimenting on and had been trying to get him to turn so that he would kill other vampires. So he's like, oh, he's all weak, and he's like, oh, help me, please, please. So Damon's like, yeah, sure. So he separates him from the handcuffs, and then he has his moment, and he looks at him, and then he gets all veiny in his face, and he turns his vampire face, and he says something, and I can't remember what he says, but it's something like, this is going to be interesting, or something like that, where he basically realizes that he's about to chomp on another vampire. So I think it's more like, I guess this is what he wanted, kind of thing, like what Dr. West was working on. So Damon now was injected with this serum, I guess, that will make him kill other vampires, which is going to be very interesting, I think. So he chomps on the guy. Enzo walks in and he says, this is gonna be a problem for our friendship, basically. So yeah, Damon is now a vampire killer, whatever we want to call him. But yeah, so that was the ending. And I mean, that was a pretty good ending considering I've just hated this whole Augustine group storyline and Dr. West, whatever, who cares. But this is an interesting twist. And how is this going to get out of his system? Who's going to be able to save him? And then obviously you're going to see that Stefan is out there to save Damon and Elena at this point, or Catherine, Elena, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And like I said, now that Matt knows the truth about Catherine, and something should be clued into Bonnie that Catherine has never passed through her, so they need to fix that storyline pronto. Other than that, just an okay episode. There was stuff happening, but I don't know, I've slightly fallen out of love with the Vampire Diaries, and I'm desperately trying to get back my love for the show, but sometimes it's hard, and there's like holes in the episodes that drive me crazy. But Elena as Catherine, or Catherine as Elena, I still think is entertaining to watch. All those scenes where she, they've taken Jeremy, and then you see her hug, and then she's like, oh, whatever. Like, she's just so upset that she's got to deal with all this. You know what I mean? Like the scene when, Stefan walks up behind her, and then she turns around, and she's like, oh, and she's crying, and it's like, she doesn't care. She doesn't care about any of this. When Damon sees her at the cabin, and then he walks off, and she's got this look on her face, and then she has this smirk. Catherine has that smirk that she always has. And so all those moments are they're kind of hilarious. But I need to clue in real quick and realize that she ain't who she appears to be. All right, guys, that's been my review. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. And let me know if you're digging all these different storylines that are going on right now. Like, what's up with these travelers at the end? What does this mean? Lots of questions. It's not going to be back till I think the 29th of February, because everybody is on hiatus due to the Olympics. So yeah, it's going to be a couple weeks before we're back. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.